I felt many times that I'm not a disciplined person, but people always insist and say, oh, it must take so much discipline every day to get up, and every day you were in the gym at 7 in the morning and you worked at the 9:30 in the morning, and then you went to college after that, and then you went this and this, and you worked in construction. So I was like looking forward to getting up in the morning and looking forward driving to the gym and working out 2.5 hours and then going down to the beach and taking a run in the deep sand and getting some cardio work done and all this stuff. I was looking forward to it. It was not like, oh my God, I have to do another workout. Yes, you do that when, for instance, sometimes people go to the gym and the doctor says, you should go to the gym and you should work out because otherwise, I see some problems coming up, high cholesterol and body fat and this and that, and you're going to go and wipe out, 10 years younger than you want to, if there's ever the right time to wipe out. But I mean, in any case, so that person you can see in the gym is there and they do their reps and they do their sets and they're not really into it. You can see there's no life in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like they grab the weight and they just do their sets and they get the pump and they feel good and they put the weights down and get the next heavier weight and they do the set. And so that's really fun. But that person is kind of like a vegetable in a way. They just cruise around in the gym. They sit on the life cycle and they just pedal away. And when you say to them, so why do you work out? They have no answer. Then eventually they say, well, to be honest with you, the doctor told me that I should get in shape. That's better for my health, to bring my blood pressure down and my cholesterol down and my body fat down and all this. So they're not really, so I say to them always, I said, what you should do is you should just pick a goal that you can chase. They would say, like, what? I said, well, how much do you weigh? I'm weighing 190 pounds and I want to lower my body fat, body weight. I said, well, why don't you pick a goal like you want to go down to 170? And it is now March, and by August, when you go to the beach, you're going to have a slimmer waist, less body fat, and you look leaner, and you can be proud of your body. I said, pick that goal. Oh, that's a good idea. I said, write it down, and then write down the sets you have to do to get you there, and the amount of reps you have to do, and the amount of life cycle that you have to run, and regular bicycling, and running that you have to do. Write all of this down, and then you mark it off. Every day you mark it off. That's what I did. To me, there was really that feedback that I see, a line being crossed. That means one set was done. It was a satisfying kind of a thing. The line was crossed off. The next line was crossed off. And so I tell people that, and then they say, oh my God, this is, I'm going to do that. That is such a great idea. And they say, this worked. And it really gave me a purpose. See, so that's what why it's so important to have a purpose when you do things, to have a clear vision when you do things, because then you don't have to look at it kind of like, I have to be really disciplined to do that, or I have to make certain sacrifices to do that, because then it just drags you into that direction and you just do the work. So that's what I think is always that. But clearly there were sacrifices. Like, let me just give you one. What do you think it's like when you go and you run for governor and you promise the people that you are going to be my number one priority? Now you win. Now you have to do the work. But now you come home and your kids are crying on the dinner table when you come home. And Daddy, you didn't come to my recital on Monday. Daddy, you didn't come to my football practice on Tuesday. Daddy, you promised me that you come into the school and you take me to school. You didn't this week. So that is devastating when the kids are crying and complaining, and you say to yourself, I promised the people that they're number one, but I also promised my family. I promised my wife, when we had the first child, that they're going to be number one. So that's a dilemma. Now you're in a dilemma, and now you have to make certain sacrifices. And I had to make certain sacrifices when it comes to spending time with my family, where my wife had to pick up the slacks, and she had to do the extra work. So there were sacrifices made that were painful sometimes. When you see your kids crying, that's painful, and then it's your fault. But that's the situation you're in. And you put yourself in this situation. You had a choice to run for governor or not to run for governor, right? If I would have continued with my movie business, those kids were in heaven because they were in a movie. In my makeup trailer, they were watching me getting made up as the Terminator, or for any of those kind of movies. They were in my motorhome and they were doing their homework in the afternoon there. They brought their friends with them. So that was fun. Now all of a sudden they go up to Sacramento and everyone is running around with a suit and with a tie. And they come to me and says, Dad, what is this? What did you do? Why are you having this job? Now they were like 11, 12 years old. And they said, why do you have this job now? I say, everyone has a suit and a tie, and everyone looks really serious, and they all attack you. They say bad things about you. I say, well, this is the way it's in politics. I say, as soon as you run, first you have like a 80% popularity, and then as soon as you run, your popularity goes down to 50% because 50% of the other side, the other party. 20% of the people hate their mother, so don't worry about someone hating you. Politics, you know. So anyway, so you have to make sacrifices like that. Imagine a sacrifice you have to take when you come to this country. I mean, you know what it's like. You leave everything behind. My friends, my parents, my relatives, everything that was around me that was kind of like a sure thing. I had a job after the military that I could go to continue on the job that I did as a salesman. I had all of this and I left all this for uncertainty because there was no certainty coming to America. There was Joe Weider that said, I'm going to help you. I find your apartment. I find your car. Yes, there were some people that helped a lot. He's the one that gave me the airline ticket to come to America and all this stuff. Joe Weider is the publisher of the muscle magazines. He has passed away in the meantime, but I mean, he was like the guru of bodybuilding. He created bodybuilding. The federation was created by his brother, Ben Weider, and Joe had the endless amount of magazines and distribution company for weight equipment, for food supplements and all that. So he brought me here, so there was some help like this. But I mean, I walked away from all of this comfort to come to America. So yet there were major, major sacrifices like that. But I really never looked at it in that way because I just said to myself, I want to go to America. I want to go and be there and work my way up to become the greatest bodybuilder of all times. And that's, you know, we are talking about one of the other rules, which is that to shoot for big goals, just as much energy or as little energy as shooting for a little goal. You know, it's just as much hassle when you have a little goal. Like say, if I would say, I want to be Mr. Austria. Well, that's as much working out than working out for Mr. Europe or Mr. Universe. So, I mean, you might as well just continue on and just say, okay, all I have to do now, the difference really is that you have to become a real professional. You have to know how to pose. You have to have the right tan. You have to take the right food supplements. You have to eat the right food. You have to really fine tune. You have to get the definition. It's not just the size of the body. So the higher up you go, the more complicated it gets to win. And this is my next career. So I always say to myself, the word Reg Park, I saw him in Hercules movie. Can you believe that this guy won Mr. Universe 3 times and then he was discovered in Rome, in Cinecittà. And they saw him there and they said, oh my God, you are Hercules. The acting school and you're going to play Hercules. And then Steve Reeves did the same thing, who was another Mr. Universe from 1950. Yeah, Steve Reeves from 1950, Reg Park 1951. So both of them became Hercules. Then there was many other bodybuilders that did Hercules movies or those gladiator movies and muscle movies and stuff like that in the 60s that became very famous. But I mean, so I said to myself, if Reg Park could get into movies, maybe when I go to America and I become the world's greatest bodybuilder, then they would ask me to go in the movie. And so this was the idea. So to me, it was natural. Oh, I said to myself,